Dr. Hansol Kim stared through his microscope at the tiny water bear crawling across the slide. The creature had survived being frozen, boiled, and exposed to radiation that would kill a human instantly. He smiled, marking another successful result in his notebook. After 15 years of studying Earth's toughest creatures, he still found them amazing. The loud sound of running feet in the hallway made him look up. His young assistant, Ji-Hoo Park, burst through the door of the Seoul National University lab, out of breath and eyes wide with excitement. "Dr. Kim, turn on the TV, quick." Ji-Hoo grabbed the remote and switched on the wall-mounted screen. "They're everywhere, all over the world." The news showed massive silver ships hanging in the sky above major cities. Seoul's sky had 3 of them, each bigger than the tallest building in the city. They looked like giant metal eggs floating in the clouds. Hansol watched as the world changed forever. After thousands of years of wondering if humans were alone in space, they finally had their answer. Aliens were real, and they had come to Earth. The first meeting happened 2 days later. Hansol sat in the university's main hall with other scientists, watching the live broadcast. The aliens called themselves the Taiyang, and they looked almost human, except for their silver-tinted skin and completely black eyes. "We have visited many worlds," their leader said in perfect Korean, "thanks to their translation technology. Earth is the first planet we found with such basic life forms that has developed space technology." Hansol frowned. Something about the alien's tone bothered him. A week later, he understood why. Commander Du Jin, the Taiyang scientist in charge of studying Earth's wildlife, visited his lab. The alien walked around, looking at the specimens with what Hansol could only describe as amusement. "These are your planet's toughest creatures." Du Jin picked up a jar containing a preserved box jellyfish. "On our world, we engineered predators that could hunt in acid oceans. Your animals are cute in a primitive way." Hansol took a deep breath to stay calm. "These primitive creatures have survived 5 mass extinctions. The tardigrade you just walked past can survive in space without protection." Du Jin put down the jar and smiled. The expression didn't reach his black eyes. "Dr. Kim, you don't understand. We have created life forms that can eat radiation. Your natural evolution is like a child's drawing compared to our genetic art." Before Hansol could answer, his computer beeped. New test results from the tardigrade experiment showed the tiny animal had survived conditions that would melt steel. He looked at Du Jin, who was already walking away, and decided to keep the results to himself. Something told him it might be useful to let the aliens keep underestimating Earth's wildlife. After all, every scientist knew that the most dangerous thing in nature was thinking you knew everything about it. As Du Jin left the lab, Hansol heard him laugh at the sign warning about the box jellyfish being deadly. The alien didn't notice the small crack in the jar's seal, where the preservative fluid was slowly leaking out. Nature, Hansol knew, had a way of teaching hard lessons to those who didn't respect it. He wondered how long it would take the Taiyang to learn theirs. 1 month after the Taiyang's arrival, they announced a global challenge. They wanted to compare Earth's wildlife with their own engineered creatures. The announcement came during a sunny morning at Seoul National University's main conference hall. Commander Du Jin stood on the stage, his silver skin gleaming under the lights. "We invite Earth's best scientists to show us their most impressive creatures. We will match them against our own species in controlled tests." In the audience, Ji-Hoo Park leaned over to whisper to Dr. Hansol Kim, "They're going to be surprised when they see what our animals can do." Hansol nodded but stayed quiet. He had spent the last month watching the aliens. They loved to show off their engineered animals. Creatures with metal-like skin, others that could change color at will, and some that could even generate electric fields. But they always laughed at Earth's wildlife. After the announcement, Du Jin approached Hansol's team. "Dr. Kim, surely you don't want to enter your little water bears in this challenge." His black eyes showed amusement. "We have creatures that can survive a nuclear blast." Jehu stepped forward before Hansol could answer. Actually, we want to enter several species. The inland tapin snake, the box jellyfish, and yes, the tardigrades. Dojin's smile dropped for a second, then returned bigger than before. Excellent. We will test them all. But remember, our creatures are perfect. They have no weaknesses. That evening, in Hansol's lab, his team gathered to prepare their specimens. Dr. Nayoung Lee, who had just joined them from the marine biology department, brought up an interesting point. No weaknesses means no adaptations, she said, checking data on her tablet. Everything on Earth had to adapt or die. Our creatures learned to survive by failing countless times. Hansol looked at the small tank where a blue-ringed octopus swam. The beautiful creature could kill a human in minutes with its poison. It hadn't been engineered. It had evolved this way because it needed to survive. The aliens think evolution is messy and primitive, Hansol said, watching the octopus change colors. They don't understand that nature's mess created perfect survivors. The team worked late into the night, preparing their presentations. They would show the aliens creatures from every corner of Earth, from the deep sea to the highest mountains, from the hottest deserts to the coldest ice. Jehu was feeding data into the computer when he noticed something strange. Dr. Kim, look at this. He pointed to his screen, which showed test results from the alien specimens. They're engineered animals. They're all dying from normal bacteria. They have no immune system. Hansol rushed to look at the data. Jehu was right. The aliens had made their creatures strong against specific threats, but they couldn't handle Earth's everyday challenges. Evolution had given Earth's animals something the aliens couldn't engineer: the ability to adapt to the unexpected. As they left the lab that night, Hansol smiled. Tomorrow would be interesting. The aliens thought they were going to show off their superior creatures. Instead, they were about to learn why Earth's primitive wildlife had survived for millions of years. Behind them, in its tank, the blue-ringed octopus flashed its bright warning colors. Nature's art might not be perfect, but it was far from primitive. The Daejeon International Bioresearch Center was packed with scientists from around the world. Large screens showed close-up views of different creatures as each team presented their findings. Dr. Nayoung Lee stood at the main stage, ready to show her research on marine animals. Our next specimen is the cone snail, she said, pointing to a beautiful shell in a water tank. The alien scientists in the front row leaned forward, looking bored. This small creature hunts fish by shooting them with a poison dart. One drop of its poison can kill 20 people. Commander Dujin laughed from his seat. Impressive for such a slow creature. But watch this. He pressed a button on his control pad, and a door opened in the alien exhibition area. A large metallic-skinned creature that looked like a mix between a cat and a lizard walked out. Its feet made clicking sounds on the floor. Our hunter can run at the speed of sound and has claws that can cut through steel, Dujin said proudly. It would eat your little snail before it could even move. Nayoung smiled politely. Perhaps, but nature isn't about being the biggest or fastest. It's about survival. She moved to her next display. This jellyfish is almost invisible in water. Its sting can kill a human in 3 minutes. We still haven't found a way to copy its poison. The alien scientists whispered among themselves. One of them, a younger-looking alien named Hyunwoo, raised his hand. How did such a simple creature develop such a deadly weapon? Through millions of years of evolution, Nayoung explained. Each generation either survived or died. The survivors passed on their best features. Dojin stood up, looking annoyed. Enough about evolution. Let us show you real power. He revealed their next creation, a floating creature that looked like a cloud of metal dust. This is our newest design. It can break down any organic matter and turn it into energy. The crowd gasped as the creature formed different shapes in the air. But Dr. Hansol Kim, watching from the back of the room, noticed something odd. The alien creature was staying far away from the Earth specimens. Ji-Hoo came running up to Hansel, holding his tablet. "Dr. Kim, you need to see this." He showed a microscope view of some alien creature samples. Their engineered animals are dying when they touch normal Earth bacteria. They have no defense against simple infections. Hansel watched as Du-Jin continued to show off more engineered creatures. Each one was more impressive than the last, but they all had the same problem. They were designed to be perfect against specific threats, but couldn't handle unexpected challenges. At the end of the day, Naeum finished her presentation with the tardigrade display. This tiny animal can survive in space, in volcanoes, in the deepest ocean, and even in radiation that would kill everything else. Not because we made it that way, but because it learned to survive everything nature could throw at it. Do-Jin stood up to argue, but stopped. His latest creation, the metal dust creature, was starting to look sick. Its shiny surface was turning dull, and it wasn't floating as smoothly as before. Hyunwoo rushed over to check the creature's readings. His face showed worry as he whispered to Do-Jin. Something was wrong with their perfect creation, and they didn't know why. Nature's first lesson was about to begin. Tae-won Choi liked to work late in the lab. As a research assistant, he had a simple job: feed the test animals and clean their tanks. But tonight, something strange was happening in the alien specimen room next door. Through the glass wall, he could see their engineered creatures acting weird. The metal dust creature from yesterday was now a dull gray instead of shiny silver. The cat lizard hunter was breathing hard and moving slowly. Even their strongest specimens were showing signs of sickness. Tae-won checked his watch. It was midnight, and he was the only one in the lab except for the night guard. He knew he shouldn't go into the alien lab, but his curiosity was too strong. Using his security card, he entered the specimen room. The air smelled different, like something was rotting. He took out his tablet and started taking pictures of the sick creatures. "What are you doing here?" a voice asked from behind. Tae-won jumped and turned around. It was Hyunwoo, the young alien scientist who had asked questions during the exhibition. I was just checking on the animals," Tae-won said, getting ready to run. But Hyunwoo didn't look angry. "Look at this," Hyunwoo said, pointing to his own screen. "Earth bacteria are eating through our creatures' protective layers, even the metal ones. We've never seen anything like this." Tae-won looked closer at the readings. Normal bacteria found in soil and water were breaking down the aliens' perfect creations. Maybe because your animals never had to fight bacteria before. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "We removed all bacteria from our world centuries ago. We thought they were primitive and unnecessary." He looked worried. "We were wrong." Just then, they heard voices coming from the main lab. Commander Do-Jin was back, and he sounded angry. "Take whatever specimens you can," Do-Jin ordered his team. "We must study these Earth creatures more closely. Their simple defenses are somehow destroying our superior designs." Tae-won and Hyunwoo watched from the shadows as alien workers started collecting samples of Earth animals. They took small pieces of jellyfish tissue, venom from snakes, and even some of the tardigrades. "This is wrong," Hyunwoo whispered. "We should ask permission first. These creatures are more dangerous than we thought." Tae-won quietly took pictures of everything with his tablet. He had to show this to Dr. Kim. The aliens were stealing Earth specimens, probably to try to copy their survival abilities. As they watched, one of the alien workers got too close to a box jellyfish tank. A tiny tentacle touched his protective suit. Within seconds, the suit started to melt. "Impossible," Do-Jin shouted. "That suit can survive an acid. How can this primitive creature's poison break it down?" Hyunwoo turned to Tae-won. "You must warn your scientists. Commander Do-Jin doesn't understand how dangerous this is. He thinks he can control your wildlife, like we control our engineered creatures." Tae-won nodded and carefully backed away. As he left the lab, he heard Do-Jin shouting more orders. The aliens were getting desperate. Their perfect creatures were dying, and Earth's simple animals were proving to be more powerful than anyone had expected. Nature's second lesson was beginning. Never underestimate what you don't understand. Dr. Sun Mi Kang didn't like what she was seeing in the lab's security footage. After getting Taiwan's message, she had spent all morning reviewing the videos of the aliens' nighttime activities. Now she was showing the recordings to Dr. Hansol Kim and his team. They took samples from every dangerous creature we have, she said, pointing to the screen. But they didn't follow any safety rules. Look at how they handle the box jellyfish specimen. The team watched as alien workers collected samples without proper protection. They seemed to think their advanced suits would keep them safe from anything Earth's primitive creatures could do. We need to stop them before Hansol started to say, but alarms suddenly began blaring throughout the building. Red lights flashed in the corridors as Commander Du Jin's voice came over the speakers. This is not a drill. Containment breach in the alien research sector. All humans must evacuate immediately. The team rushed to the observation window overlooking the alien lab. What they saw made them freeze in shock. The aliens' pristine white lab was in chaos. Their engineered creatures were breaking down, literally melting in their tanks. The metal dust creature had turned into a puddle of rusty liquid. The cat lizard hunter was crying out in pain as its metallic skin cracked and peeled. What happened? Jihu asked, pressing his face against the glass. Dr. Nayoung Lee checked the lab's environmental sensors on her tablet. The jellyfish toxin. It didn't just melt that one protective suit. It's eating through everything. Their containment systems, their equipment, even their strongest materials. Through the window, they saw Hyunwoo trying to save data from a computer, while Commander Du Jin shouted orders that nobody followed. The proud alien leader looked scared for the first time. Their technology. It's all connected, Sun Mi realized. They made everything from the same advanced materials. Materials that Earth's simple chemical weapons can destroy. Hansol grabbed the emergency phone. This is Dr. Kim. Lock down the alien research sector now. Their lab equipment is breaking down. If those samples mix together. But it was too late. They watched in horror as a broken tank leaked jellyfish toxin into a pool of snake venom. The mixture began to bubble and release fumes. The aliens' air filtering systems, already damaged by the toxin, couldn't stop the spread. Everyone out, Hansol shouted. Seal all doors to that section. As they ran, they could hear Du Jin's voice again, but this time he wasn't giving orders. He was calling for help. Hours later, after hazmat teams had contained the disaster, the group met in Hansol's office. The alien lab was quarantined. None of their engineered creatures had survived. They thought Earth's wildlife was primitive because we didn't design it, Nayoung said quietly. They didn't understand that nature's simple solutions are often the strongest. Hyunwoo, who had been allowed to join their meeting, nodded. We became so proud of our perfect creations that we forgot the power of natural evolution. One primitive jellyfish destroyed our most advanced materials. Sun Mi looked at the damage reports on her screen. What will Commander Du Jin do now? He has no choice, Hansol said. Their perfect creatures are gone. Their advanced materials are useless here. They need our help to understand Earth's wildlife before it destroys everything they built. Nature's third lesson had been the hardest. Perfection is no match for adaptation. Commander Du Jin stood in the ruins of his lab, his silver skin looking dull and tired. All around him, his perfect creatures lay dead in their broken tanks. But that wasn't the worst problem. The ship's systems are failing, he told Dr. Hansol Kim. Earth bacteria are eating through our biomechanical technology. Even our air filters are breaking down. Hansol looked at the readings on his tablet. The massive alien ships floating above Seoul were sick, infected by the same simple bacteria that had killed their engineered creatures. How long do you have? He asked. 3 days, maybe 4, Du Jin said quietly. Then our ships will start falling from the sky. In the emergency meeting room, Dr. Sun Meikang was explaining the problem to government officials. The aliens built everything using the same advanced materials. Their ships, their machines, even their spacesuits. But these materials can't fight off Earth's microscopic life forms. Can we help them? The science minister asked. Maybe, Sun Mai said. But first, they need to listen to us. Really listen. Back in the lab, Jehu Park and Taiwan Choi were studying pieces of alien technology under microscopes. Bacteria were breaking down the shiny metal like it was sugar. Look at this, Jehu called to the others. He pointed to his screen. The bacteria aren't just eating the metal. They're getting stronger. They're evolving to digest it better. Du Jin walked over to look. His black eyes widened with fear. Impossible. Your primitive life forms are changing to defeat our perfect materials. That's what life on Earth does, Han Sol explained. It adapts. It changes. It solves problems by trying new things. Nature isn't perfect, but it never stops learning. Hyunwoo, who had been quietly working in the corner, spoke up. Commander, we must ask for their help. Everything we built is based on the idea that we could make perfect things. But Earth shows us that imperfect things that can adapt are stronger. Du Jin looked around his ruined lab again. His proud face showed defeat. Dr. Kim, will you help us? I was wrong about Earth's wildlife. I thought simple meant weak. Now our greatest achievements are being destroyed by your smallest creatures. Han Sol nodded. We'll help, but you must understand. We can't control Earth's life forms like you control your engineered ones. We can only work with them, learn from them, and respect their power. They spent the next hours making plans. The human scientists would help the aliens protect their ships using Earth's own tricks. Special coatings based on shark skin that bacteria couldn't grow on, new filters that worked like human immune systems, and materials that could heal themselves like living things. As they worked, Du Jin watched a small group of tardigrades under a microscope. The tiny animals had survived everything, even the disaster that killed his perfect creatures. How can something so simple be so strong? He asked. Because it doesn't try to be perfect, Han Sol answered. It just tries to survive, whatever happens. That's the real strength of Earth's wildlife. Nature's fourth lesson was clear. True strength comes from accepting that you're not perfect. Dr. Han Sol Kim and Hyunwoo sat in the backup laboratory, surrounded by screens showing test results. They had been working nonstop for 2 days, trying to understand why Earth's creatures were so much tougher than the aliens' engineered ones. Look at this, Hyunwoo said, pointing to a display showing the inside of a tardigrade. Every part of this creature can change to deal with different dangers. When it's too hot, too cold, or even in space, it just adapts. Han Sol nodded. That's what 3 billion years of evolution does. Every living thing on Earth had to survive countless disasters. The ones that couldn't change didn't make it. Dr. Naeun-Lee rushed into the lab, holding her tablet. You need to see this. I was studying the box jellyfish poison that destroyed the alien lab. It's not just one poison. It's hundreds of different chemicals working together. Hyunwoo looked amazed. But how? Who designed such a complex system? Nobody designed it, Han Sol explained. The jellyfish developed it over millions of years. Every time it needed a stronger poison to catch food or stop enemies, the ones with better poison survived and had babies. Nature did the work, one small step at a time. Commander Du Jin walked in, looking more humble than before. His ship's systems were barely working now, kept alive by temporary fixes from the human scientists. We thought we were so smart, he said quietly. We removed all bacteria from our world because we thought they were primitive. We designed creatures that were perfect for specific tasks. But now I see, we made them too perfect, too specialized. Jehu brought up a new image on the main screen. It showed Earth bacteria breaking down the aliens' metal. But something was different. The bacteria were changing, becoming better at eating the metal. This is amazing. Hyunwoo said. These simple organisms are evolving right now as we watch. They're learning to digest materials that never existed on Earth before. Hansol smiled. Life finds a way. That's what makes Earth's creatures so strong. They never stop evolving, never stop trying new things. Like this spider, Naeyoung added, showing them a new specimen. Its web is stronger than steel, but weighs almost nothing. It didn't need a laboratory or advanced technology. It just needed time and the freedom to change. Do-jin picked up a small jar containing a tardigrade in water. On our world, we thought chaos was bad. Everything had to be controlled, perfect, unchanging. But here, he watched the tiny creature swim. Here, chaos made things stronger. Nature is messy, Hansol agreed. Sometimes it makes mistakes, but those mistakes can become new strengths. Every creature on Earth is an experiment that worked. Hyunwoo suddenly looked excited. Commander, what if we've been doing everything backward? Instead of trying to make perfect creatures, we should be learning how to let them evolve naturally. Do-jin was quiet for a long time, watching the tardigrade. Finally, he said, "You're right. Our greatest mistake wasn't making imperfect creatures. It was trying to make perfect ones." Nature's fifth lesson had become clear. Perfection is the enemy of survival. As they worked through the night, humans and aliens together, they knew they were learning something bigger than just saving the alien ships. They were learning why life on Earth had survived everything the universe had thrown at it. Because it never tried to be perfect, it just tried to be better. The presentation room was full of alien scientists. They had come from their ships to learn about Earth's wildlife. Not to show off this time, but to understand. Dr. Naeyoung Lee stood at the front, showing videos of different animals. "This is the pistol shrimp," she said, pointing to a small creature on the screen. "It looks simple, but it can make bubbles hotter than the sun's surface when it hunts." The aliens watched in silence as the tiny shrimp knocked out a bigger fish with its sound bubble. No one laughed or called it primitive this time. And this, Naeyoung continued, is the bombardier beetle. When attacked, it mixes chemicals in its body to make a hot spray that burns its enemies. It's like a living chemical weapon. Commander Do-jin, sitting in the front row, raised his hand. "How long did it take to design these defense systems?" "Nature designed them," Naeyoung explained. The bombardier beetle's ancestors started with simple chemicals. Over millions of years, the beetles that made better chemicals survived and had babies. Eventually, they developed this perfect defense. Hyunwoo stood up next. He had been working with the human scientists and had exciting news to share. "We've been studying Earth's immune systems, the way bodies fight disease. Every animal here has natural defenses that our engineered creatures never had." He showed pictures of human blood cells fighting bacteria. These cells can learn to fight new diseases they've never seen before. Our perfect creatures couldn't do that. They could only fight the specific things we designed them to fight. Dr. Hansol Kim joined them at the front. "We've discovered something else interesting. The alien ships are starting to heal." Everyone in the room sat up straighter. The ships had been slowly failing for days as Earth bacteria ate through their systems. "We introduced some of Earth's helpful bacteria to your ships," Hansol explained. "These good bacteria are fighting off the harmful ones. They're protecting your ships the same way they protect living things on Earth." Taiwan Choi, who had been quiet until now, added something important. "And the helpful bacteria are evolving to work better with your technology. They're becoming partners with your ships, just like the good bacteria in our bodies work with us." Commander Do-jin stood up slowly. "All my life, I thought being advanced meant controlling everything, making it perfect. But Earth's wildlife shows us something different. True advancement means being able to change, to work together, to solve new problems. Like this forest," Ji-hoo said, showing a picture of trees and plants. "Every plant and animal here depends on the others. They compete, but they also help each other. The forest is strong because everything in it can change and work together." The alien scientists took notes and asked questions, but not like before. Now they asked about how things evolved, how animals adapted, how different species worked together. They wanted to learn, not judge. At the end of the day, Du Jin made an announcement. We came here thinking we would show Earth how advanced we were. Instead, Earth has shown us what true advancement looks like. Nature's sixth lesson was becoming clear. Working together is better than standing alone. As the aliens left the room, they passed a tank containing a small octopus. The creature changed its color to match their silver skin, reminding them that Earth's wildlife still had many surprises to teach them. 6 months after the crisis, Seoul National University had some unusual new students. Young aliens sat in the biology classes, learning about Earth's wildlife with excitement instead of mockery. Commander Du Jin, now the head of the new Earth Taeyang research program, stood in Han Sol's lab, watching students study. Your smallest creatures taught us the biggest lessons, Du Jin said, looking at a group of students examining a butterfly that had just come out of its cocoon. We thought we were coming to teach Earth about advanced life forms. Instead, we became the students. Han Sol smiled as he checked the latest test results. The alien ships were now completely healthy, protected by helpful Earth bacteria that had evolved to live in harmony with the alien technology. Nature had solved their problem in its own way. Look at this, Dr. Nayoung Lee called from her workstation. She was teaching a group of alien students about ocean life. These young jellyfish are changing their poison to work better in warmer water. They're adapting to climate change in real time. Hyunwoo, who had become the lead alien scientist for studying Earth's evolution, rushed over with his tablet. Just like the bacteria in our ships, they keep evolving to work better with our technology. Every day they find new ways to help us. The alien students watched in wonder as Nayoung showed them more sea creatures. One young alien raised her hand. But how do we know what these animals will become? How can we control their evolution? We don't, Jae-hoo explained kindly. That's what makes Earth's wildlife so amazing. We can't control it, but we can learn from it. Every creature here is writing its own story of survival. Taiwan came in with exciting news from the research center. The first natural evolution lab is ready. Instead of engineering new creatures, we're making safe places where animals can evolve on their own. Du Jin nodded with approval. On our world, we tried to make everything perfect. We killed all the bacteria, removed all the challenges. Now we know that was a mistake. Without challenges, nothing gets stronger. Dr. Sun Li Kang joined them, carrying a box of new research papers. The combined Earth Taeyang science team has published their first findings. Scientists all over the world want to learn about mixing natural evolution with advanced technology. Han Sol picked up one of the papers. The title read, Learning from Earth's Wildlife. Why Imperfect is Better Than Perfect. We're starting similar research on our home world, Du Jin announced. We're bringing back some of the natural life forms we removed. It won't be easy. Our people are used to controlling everything. But we understand now that perfect things can't survive in an imperfect universe. As they talked, a small tardigrade crawled across a microscope slide. On another table, a bombardier beetle cleaned its wings. In a nearby tank, an octopus changed colors to play with alien students. Each creature was teaching its own lesson about survival. Nature's final lesson was the simplest of all. True wisdom comes from learning, not knowing. Earth's wildlife isn't primitive, Du Jin said, watching all the activity in the lab. It's the greatest teacher we've ever had. Han Sol looked at the mix of humans and aliens working together, all of them learning from the endless experiments of evolution. Maybe that's the real difference between our worlds, he said. We never stopped being students of nature. Outside the lab windows, alien ships floated peacefully in the sky above Seoul, no longer perfect, but stronger than ever, protected by the same simple life forms they had once mocked.